Hi, my name is Dr. Kasha Khan, CEO and founder of EBV Global Institute. Today we're talking about traveling. In fact, if you have chronic active EBV, unfortunately, this can be an activating factor in traveling is tough. We have entire modules on traveling by plane, traveling by land for our students in our community, and it makes a world of difference. I can tell you, I have stories of students traveling all the way from Moscow to US to a business conference, working conference, and then back in COVID. Not only not reactivating, but just having a blast. And from Jordan all the way across the globe to British Columbia. And again, in COVID, in quarantine, 5 hours at customs, 4 weeks, I believe, in quarantine, in a little dinky apartment, and going back the same route, very long trip, and never reactivating. So before COVID, as a professional, I traveled a lot to business and medical conferences. So you would not believe what I had in my backpack. It was always strategic. I did it for years. Also, traveling internationally, going back to Poland to visit my mother. And so I have extensive protocols. But today I want to talk about five simplest, most practical and applicable tips that I can share with you today to make your travel safer and more enjoyable. So number one is Wi-Fi technology and EMF. Unfortunately, when you are at the airport, it's blasted by Wi-Fi technology. Basically, you have hundreds of people walking past you. Everybody probably has their phone on. So you have all this communication wireless going on. You have stations when people have plugins, they're plugging their devices, their laptops are working. So when you have chronic EBV, unfortunately, Wi-Fi technology is very detrimental. That alone can trigger reactivation. It happened to me one time and caused vertigo. So you want to be very, very cognizant. Don't panic. Don't worry. Just scan your environment, where you're walking, where you're sitting, where you're waiting on the plane. Just be aware of it. That makes a huge difference. So that's tip number one. And then when you get in the air, actually, also very important, the closer to the cockpit you're sitting, the more radiation you will have from there. And of course, all the stations as you're sitting, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. So that's not avoidable, unfortunately, you're sitting there. But what else did I want to say? The most important thing, the biggest thing that you can do is actually get a pat down once you go with a hand-on baggage, going through the machine, scanning it, and they ask you to go through a little scanning machine yourself. If you can avoid it, I would. I always ask for pat down. That's just all you have to do. You just need 5 extra minutes because they have to find a person who's going to be the same sex person. If you have a woman, they're gonna get you a woman, and you can request. They will ask you a private room if you are uncomfortable with people looking at you when they're doing the pat down. I don't, because I'm an educator, and for me it's very important to actually have people see it. And one of my best example was when, with 2 girlfriends, we were traveling on a vacation. We were talking about this machine, and we were going to get a pat down. We were talking about the health. There was a pregnant woman standing behind us, and she was eavesdropping. She heard what we were talking about. She opted out, and she did pat down as well. Yes. The one time when I was running late and I was literally running through, I had to go through that machine. Otherwise, I would have missed my plane. My thyroid hurt after that. I was affected. I had to take some supplements, take it easy, because my body wasn't used to it. And remember, when you are in the air, there is more radiation. The level changes. There's more radiation. You're closer to the sun. You have less protection. So you already have that radiation, the cockpit radiation, the Wi-Fi radiation. So be aware of that. Number 2 is air quality. Air quality, the issue is that there are environmental toxins that are well studied to reactivate EBV. Plain and simple. One of them is dioxin. Some of them we haven't studied yet, but in our community we know if there's a lot of air pollution, people can reactivate. And so the air quality on the plane is not very good. I think with COVID, they're adding some air filtration, but I can't guarantee you that that's what's going to happen. The air is not healthy, at least before COVID. Some of the air directly from the engine will seep into the passenger. And plus it's recycled, so people bring all kinds of bugs with them, so you have to be very cognizant. And you can, I will post, I have two favorite purification portable systems. One you can put right in the pocket in front of you, and one you can hang on you, and it's ion technology, so they're spitting out negative ions. Well, when you're in a one place, which is on the plane, they're going to push the positive ions, which is bacteria, viruses, molds, chemical particles. These are all positively charged ions. They will push them outside of you, so you will have negative ion-rich air, which is very healthy. That's the air we breathe when we stand by the ocean, by a stream, in the forest. Number 3 is hydration. The air is dry, you have to hydrate, and that's not black tea and that's not alcohol. No, no. I actually recommend something like Berkey. Berkey filter has a traveling bottle, and you literally can go to a restaurant and ask them for bottle. You could get, you know, water in a bottle, and you can pour it into that. As you drink out, it actually filters. I was frustrated last time. I actually was in May 2022 when I traveled on the plane. I spent half an hour walking everywhere looking for water bottle in glass. I found one. We're still stewing in plastic. I don't want you to get plastic, but you can fill out that Berkey. I carry a backpack with 2 pockets. One pocket, I will have an empty traveling stainless steel container for tea, so I can make hot tea. And in the other, I have maybe that Berkey bottle, so I can fill it with water, and then as I drink out, it filters. You can bring them from the airport after you check in from the airport to the plane, no problem. So it's very important that you hydrate, because you can get really constipated on the plane. It's very common, so just drink. And bring your tea bags, your favorite, maybe your anti-EBV herbal teas. So you can always request hot water from the assistant and give them, you know, have them pour it into your traveling mug. Put your tea in there. Let me see. Number 4, supplements. When you have chronic EBV, supplements become really important. You don't want to slack on them while traveling. You actually take all the gear with you. And this is the way you ensure that you don't reactivate, because during traveling, there's too many changes. The body is very vulnerable. You can reactivate even in a hotel. So don't skip on that. On the plane, I would recommend aloe vera and oil of oregano. They are antimicrobial. They can support so many things. And if somebody's you know, sniffing and coughing, oil of oregano kills everything inside. So I always have a little bit of that and never get sick. And the last thing is antioxidants. Antioxidants is one thing that EBV really doesn't like. We need a lot more of it when we have EBV, because it creates massive amounts of oxidation. And antioxidants, you know, a little box of blueberries, a little box of raspberries, fruits, maybe apples or pears cut in a little metal box or Ziploc bag. I have my backpack full of these. And so these actually really make it safer, more pleasurable, enjoyable, and you know you have your back and you know you're safer. And so with this, happy travels.